our province, we are struggling with a opiate crisis. It's not just in BC, but our students who live in BC, the downtown east side is something that's very scary, and it's not very far away. It's becoming a reality for our high school kids when they are out and they're with their friends. These things are everywhere, and we're trying to teach our First Nation students, other students as well, that if you are connected to your culture is medicine to keep you clean and sober. And I'm very passionate about that for our teenagers, because the years that I have worked in different nations and my own experience growing up, if you are participating in your culture, one of the protocols is that you have to be clean and sober. So you have to be 4 days free of drugs and alcohol. So if you are participating in your culture and you're respecting that protocol, then if culture is important to you, that's your medicine to stay clean and sober.
One of the biggest things that helped me get off the alcohol and the drugs is the course I was in introduced me to some traditional healing methods, and I found that smudging really helped me a lot. It's something that I still do on a very regular basis.
I learned about smudging, and that's just helped me a lot, as I struggle a lot with my mental health, and it just really supports me and it keeps me going. And the elder Grouse said that you don't know where you're going unless you know where you came from, and that has just really helped me to understand that where I come from, and connect with my culture even more and understand why things are the way they are.
That's something that I started to realize once I started taking this course, and for quite a while up until I did take this course, I did believe quite a few of the stereotypes that were out there, and I didn't really think, and I at that point, leading up to the time I'd taken this course, I kind of accepted the fact that I was probably going to end up on the streets too, and I was probably going to die pretty young and probably drink myself to death, right? That's the mentality I had. I started, it's like you hear it enough times, you start to buy into it, and taking this course and really learning about why these problems are apparent helped change my perspective on the situation.
Especially growing up on the reserve, any reserve, there's always the people that, whether they graduate or not, a lot of them sit around, they don't really do too much, and you see that a lot, especially in your own families and stuff like that, and it's hard to see that and think that there's a future for you to be able to do more than just sit around, and that's what I was doing a lot of times. I would wake up, I didn't want to go to school, and so I just wouldn't go. I'd show up and just go for a hike across the mountain and be back home. And so definitely wasn't the best kid before all the sort of cultural stuff started happening. And like I said, it's really what kept me in high school. It's what helped me graduate in a lot of ways. So
yeah, when I hit the public school, because everyone was white there, and I was Aboriginal. People used to bully me just for being Aboriginal, I wasn't, just because I wasn't white. It's not right, no, but
I'd heard a few stories about some of my family, not very many. Some of them negative, some of them positive. And when I was younger, hearing that, certain people had been in jail or certain people had drinking problems and stuff when I was a kid, that made me kind of fearful of them. But as I got older and started to understand, it made me have so much compassion for them, you know what I mean?
I feel like, because there's a couple kids in our class that aren't Indigenous, so them, being participated in these programs and our activities and stuff, they really like it, they really enjoy it, I feel. And I'm glad that happens, because I feel like people nowadays don't really accept Aboriginals and stuff like that,
Yeah,
I feel
there's stereotypes about them and
there's definitely stereotypes on Aboriginals, and to know that there's people that aren't aren't Indigenous that are still into our culture is really makes me feel happy, because they're not judgmental, they're not they're just not judgmental, they're really nice and understanding of everything, and they think it's cool to be a part of that.
Yeah,
And
a lot of kids do, yeah.
They get the
Yeah.
experience to understand.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.